What happens when three men vanish without a trace from a remote lighthouse? How can experienced lighthouse keepers simply disappear without leaving any clues? Today, we delve into one of the most perplexing mysteries in maritime history: the haunting disappearance of the keepers of the Flannan Isles lighthouse. The Flannan Isles are situated about 20 miles west of the Outer Hebrides, a rugged and remote group of islands off the coast of Scotland. They are known for their dramatic cliffs, wild seas, and harsh weather conditions. The largest of these islands is Island Moor, where the lighthouse stood, an isolated outpost that served a critical purpose for sailors navigating the dangerous waters of the Atlantic. At the time, sea travel was fraught with danger, and lighthouses were vital to preventing shipwrecks. The keepers of these beacons, however, led difficult and often lonely lives. They were cut off from the rest of the world, living in small quarters, surrounded by the relentless sound of crashing waves and howling winds. Being a lighthouse keeper was not for the faint of heart. These men faced a daily routine that combined grueling physical labor with the mental challenge of extreme isolation. They were responsible for ensuring that the lights stayed lit, especially during the long, stormy nights when visibility was low. A single mistake could result in tragedy, with ships crashing into the jagged rocks that surrounded the islands. The lighthouse keepers also had to maintain the equipment, clean the lenses, and manually refuel the lamps with oil, all while contending with the unpredictable weather and the cold, damp conditions inside the lighthouse. They were often at the mercy of the elements, with storms that could last for days, trapping them inside their stone sanctuary. Cut off from any contact with the mainland, the lighthouse on Island Moor was built between 1895 and 1899, part of an ambitious plan to improve maritime safety. Designed by Alan Stevenson, a member of the famous Stevenson family, responsible for many of Scotland's most important lighthouses, the structure was a testament to human ingenuity and determination in the face of nature's fury. The tower stood 75 feet tall, its light powered by oil lamps that needed constant maintenance. The keeper's job was to ensure that the light never went out, regardless of the weather. The success of this mission often meant the difference between life and death for sailors navigating these treacherous seas. The Flannan Isles themselves held a mysterious allure, long before the disappearance of the lighthouse keepers. Island Moor, in particular, had been considered a sacred site by early Christian monks who lived on the island in the 7th century. Ruins of their small stone cells can still be found today, and local legends spoke of strange occurrences on the islands. These tales of hauntings and supernatural phenomena only added to the sense of isolation and unease felt by the men stationed there. In December of 1900, just over a year after the lighthouse became operational, something strange and unexplainable happened. On December 15th, a relief vessel named Hesperus set out for Island Moor to bring supplies and replace the lighthouse's three-man crew. The keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur, were due to be relieved after several weeks of service. However, as the ship approached the island, the crew immediately sensed something was wrong. No one was waiting to greet them. No flag was raised to signal their arrival, and the island seemed eerily silent. Upon landing, the relief crew quickly discovered that the lighthouse was completely deserted. Inside, they found strange and unsettling signs. The keeper's personal belongings were still in place. A meal had been prepared but left uneaten, and a chair was overturned in the kitchen. The clocks in the lighthouse had all stopped, as if time itself had frozen. Most chillingly, there was no sign of the three men. Despite an extensive search of the island and the surrounding waters, no bodies were ever found, and no trace of the men was ever recovered. The logbook provided a few cryptic clues. The last entry, dated December 13th, described severe weather conditions with powerful winds and high seas. The keeper seemed to be experiencing anxiety, with references to storms, but there was no indication of any immediate danger. In fact, the final entry noted that the storm had passed, leaving behind a calm sea. So why would the men leave the safety of the lighthouse? The disappearance of the three men sparked widespread speculation and numerous theories, some more plausible than others. One of the first theories to emerge was that the men had been caught in a sudden and violent storm. This theory is supported by the discovery of oilskins left behind in the lighthouse, suggesting that at least one of the keepers rushed outside in a hurry, without even taking the time to put on the protective clothing needed to venture into the elements. The Flannan Isles are infamous for their unpredictable weather, and it's possible that a rogue wave or powerful gust of wind swept the men off the cliffs and into the sea. Rogue waves in the area have been known to reach heights of over 100 feet, more than enough to pull even the strongest man into the ocean. However, there are several aspects of this theory that don't add up. Why would all three men have left the lighthouse at the same time, particularly during a storm? It was standard practice for one man to remain inside at all times, ensuring that the light continued to operate and that there was always someone in a position of relative safety. Additionally, the fact that the clocks had stopped suggests that something happened quite suddenly, disrupting their daily routine. The overturned chair and uneaten meal imply that whatever occurred, it happened in a moment of panic or confusion. As with many mysterious disappearances, the lack of concrete evidence has led to a wide range of more speculative theories. Some researchers have suggested that the isolation of life on Eilean Mor may have taken its toll on the men's mental health. Lighthouse keepers were known to suffer from what was colloquially called lighthouse madness, a condition brought on by the extreme solitude and monotony of the job. Could the stress of their isolation, combined with the harsh weather conditions, have driven the men to irrational behavior? It's possible that one or more of the keepers experienced a mental breakdown, leading to a tragic sequence of events. This theory gains some support from the psychological challenges that were well documented among lighthouse keepers during this period. Living in such remote and isolated conditions, without regular contact with the outside world, could lead to feelings of paranoia, anxiety, and even hallucinations. It's conceivable that one of the men, overcome by the strain, became disoriented or panicked, prompting the others to try to help, only for all three to meet a tragic end. Other theories delve into the realm of the supernatural. The Flannan Isles have long been steeped in myth and legend, and some locals believe that the disappearance of the keepers was the result of otherworldly forces. The islands were once considered sacred by ancient Celtic monks, and stories of hauntings and strange lights in the sky have persisted for centuries. Some have speculated that the keepers may have encountered something supernatural, a ghost, a sea monster, or even divine punishment for disturbing the sacred land. While such theories may seem far-fetched, the eerie atmosphere of the Flannan Isles has only fueled speculation. In the absence of any definitive evidence, it's easy to see why the mystery has captured the imagination of so many people over the years. Stories of ghostly apparitions and inexplicable disappearances are a staple of maritime folklore, and the case of the Flannan Isles Lighthouse is no exception. Another more grounded theory involves foul play. Some have suggested that the men may have fallen victim to violence, either from an outsider or among themselves. Could there have been a struggle, perhaps over supplies or an argument that spiraled out of control? There are no records of any ships being in the area at the time, and no evidence was ever found to suggest that pirates or other marauders had landed on the island. Nevertheless, the possibility of some kind of violent confrontation cannot be entirely ruled out. Despite an official investigation conducted by the Northern Lighthouse Board, the disappearance of the keepers remains an unsolved mystery. The inquiry concluded that the men had likely perished due to a freak accident, possibly swept away by a wave. But the lack of bodies or any definitive proof has left the case open to interpretation. Over a century later, the story of the Flannan Isles Lighthouse continues to fascinate and baffle in equal measure. The story of the missing lighthouse keepers has inspired numerous works of fiction and non-fiction, including books, films, and documentaries. In 2018, the film The Vanishing dramatized the events, exploring themes of isolation, madness, and survival. The haunting imagery of the empty lighthouse, standing alone against the wild sea, has become a powerful symbol of the mysteries that the ocean still holds. Today, The Flannan Isles Lighthouse is fully automated, no longer requiring the constant presence of keepers. Yet, it remains a lonely outpost in one of the most remote parts of the world. Its light still shines, a reminder of the men who once tended to it, and of the mystery that has never been solved. So, what do you think happened to the lighthouse keepers of Eileen Moor? Were they the victims of a freak accident? Or could something more sinister, or even supernatural, have been at play? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's strangest, unsolved mysteries, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that explore the unexplained and the unknown.